Hi everyone, I'm here today for 4 easy tips to get an 800 SAT perfect math score. If you're stuck in the upper range of 700s or getting perfect scores on the practice exam, but not the real exam, you're especially in the right place. You have the fundamental math to get you to a perfect score. It is those small mistakes. And so I've identified the main issues on how to overcome these obstacles. So let's dive right into what changes you need to be making, starting with number one. Remember to look at exactly what value they're actually looking for. So for me, myself, I was always frustrated when taking the exam. I would make these silly mistakes. I would always think, oh, no worries. I know exactly how to do this problem. Next time, I'll just make sure that I get the question right, not make a silly mistake like that. But every time there would be that one question or two questions that's constantly gripping me from that perfect score I wanted. And the biggest issue behind this is because you are not finding the actual value they're looking for. Obviously, everyone in this world cannot get a perfect score on the math. So they do need to differentiate between people who get an 800 versus a 790 or a 780. And how that's done is through the trick questions that they put out there. The SAT test makers will essentially have these sets of answer choices where one of them is an answer choice while you're solving for it. So, for example, a simple one would be when you're solving for the y value, they make sure that you are doing the entire problem to the point that you forget that you're searching for the y value and you only search for the x value, and you will be basically putting the answer in the answer choice, since the x value answer choice is one of the answer choices. And the issue with this is that this is linked with the fact that you are not careful or attention to detail is being tested here. And it might seem like that's not really testing my math skills, is it? But in my opinion, this has been linked with college performance as work performance as well. Once you get to school, if you get the answer wrong, it's wrong. And that's how crucial getting the right answer is, instead of talking about the steps getting there. So similar to this, if you were to go into a business meeting and they wanted to know how much profit you're making, but instead you talk about the revenue and you go on and on about the revenue, and they don't care because they want to know your profit that takes into account your costs as well, it's going to be an issue. So at the end of the day, when you're checking your answers, it is crucial to look at that last sentence or the last saying of what value are they looking for? Are they looking for the X value? Are they looking for the Y value? Or are they looking for the dollar value or the number of items? So I would pay careful attention to that. Back to number two is to change your study routine of when you're studying for it. I know it can be very busy, whether it's your sophomore year, junior year, or senior year, studying for your exams. But standardized testing from the students that I have taught, it is very crucial at what time that you take it. So people like me, I am not a morning person. I will not wake up at 7, 8 a.m. and my brain is not functioning as well as it does in the afternoon. Unfortunately, we can't choose what time we take these standardized tests. So what we have to do is adjust our own body. So when you take your official full exam practice exams, you should change and adjust so that you're taking it at the regular official time, which would be typically administered between 8:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. And for my students who would always get near perfect or perfect scores on the practice exam and say, I didn't do as well, I made silly mistakes again, I found it to be very, very helpful to be able to take your practice exams at the exact same time. So those silly mistakes, you're starting to get used to having your brain function at that time instead. And it can really make the difference between getting a 770 on the exam or an 800 on the exam. Number three is to make use of all your time. Many times I see people say, oh, the SAT math section was really easy. I finished it when I had like 15 minutes left. I had even 20 minutes left. And I'm very glad it is a time game. So if you are able to make sure that you're very ahead of the game, that's great. But that doesn't mean it's break time so that you're preparing for the next section. If anything, you should be taking use of all that time, really double checking your answers instead of relaxing or saving your brain power for the next section. Okay. And that brings us to my last tip, number four. Double check your answers the right way. Every time I see students, I ask them to show me how they are double checking their answers. They run through their work and say, oh, yeah, looks about right. Okay. after you did the exam, especially when you're exhausted, it may seem like what you did is correct. If you're sort of on autopilot mode, you finish the exam, you're double checking. Instead, there's two options or methods that you can go through. Number one, I suggest you to go through every answer choice and plug it in and ensure, yes, indeed, the answer that I selected is correct. So the plug in check method. And then the second method is to actually solve the question again. So completely ignore the work you did, completely ignore the answer that you did, and solve it again and see if you can cross-check it as the right answer. Those are 4 basic tips, easy tips that you can follow, and I can guarantee you they will boost you a couple 10 points, 10, 20, 30 points. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, go ahead, subscribe, like. If you want to leave a comment about what else you would like to hear, feel free to let me know. Thank you.